Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dreas, and I'd like to welcome you back to another EcoShare. It's been a while since we did one of these, and getting into this one, I was thinking, I usually always have a structure going into these, an idea of the clips I want to get and the things I want to talk about. Today I decided we're just gonna freestyle it. We're just gonna go on an adventure. We're here at Horseshoe Bay Beach in Bermuda, one of my absolute favorite places in the world. So we're gonna go explore and make a video about whatever it is we find today. One of the first things that I noticed was the rack line. The rack line is the name for the material deposited by the ocean on the beach at the high tide mark. This is a natural input of marine resources into the terrestrial environment, and it's pretty important on beaches because there otherwise aren't many mechanisms to provide food and habitat for organisms that live on the beach. Whereas when you have seaweed and other marine material washing up onto the beach, that is providing food for all sorts of invertebrate creatures that live in the sand, and they in turn become food for other species such as seabirds. Racklines, or sea wrack in Bermuda, are provided for primarily by a genus of macroalgae called Sargassum. Sargassum is found around the world in tropical and temperate seas, but it is especially common in the North Atlantic, so much so that this area is actually called the Sargasso Sea. It's always exciting to see sargassum washing up on our beaches, but less stoke-inducing is seeing the plastic that it contains. Plastic was first isolated in 1862 by a man named Alexander Parks and came into widespread use in the 1950s, and its production has increased exponentially since. The United Nations Environmental Report of 2022 reports that 6.9 billion tons of plastic have been produced so far, and of that, only 10% has been recycled and 14% incinerated, meaning that the remaining 76% has gone into either landfill or the ocean. This means that 3 out of every 4 pieces of plastic produced end up in the environment. And in the Atlantic alone, they estimate there are tens of millions of tons of plastic, lots of which is microscopic. On the stoke-inducing side of things, I did see a lot of our world-famous pink sand. The pink sand in Bermuda is provided for by an organism called Homotrema rubrum. It belongs to a class of organisms called foraminifera, which are protozoans. Now, protozoa are single-celled eukaryotic organisms, meaning that their genetic information is contained in a nucleus, much like our human cells or animal cells. These pink foraminifera, or forams for short, grow on coral rubble that is scattered throughout the Bermuda platform. Full grown, they're about 5 millimeters in diameter, but the action of waves is constantly grinding them up, so they break down over time until they become teeny tiny pieces of sand, or the classic Bermuda pink sand that we often refer to. Continuing my walk down the beach, I came to a headland composed of some magnificent Bermuda limestone. The geology of Bermuda is fascinating and globally unique, and I'm really excited to make a piece all about it. For now, suffice it to say that Bermuda limestone is the fossilized remnants of an ancient dune ecosystem. The individual layers in the rock representing the accumulation and movement of the dune system throughout time. Presently, Bermuda's dune ecosystems are not very extensive in size. However, at other periods in our past, especially during times of lower sea level, the dune systems were massive, reaching as tall as 600 feet. In a previous video, I described the way that plants are able to stabilize the accumulation of beach sand. In summary, small plants begin by colonizing areas of wind-blown sand and stabilizing it, thus providing a substrate for larger and larger plants to begin accumulating, until eventually we're able to establish mature dune systems, which in turn allow for the establishment of upland forests. There's also this really strange arrangement where if you go in the ocean, you almost exclusively see native and endemic species. For the most part, the aquatic species or marine species we have here in Bermuda are the same that the first human settlers would have seen 400 years ago. Whereas on land, totally different story. The vast majority of plants here are introduced or invasive species. So it's really interesting to live at that interface, right? The ocean is literally a stone's throw away. And if we were to go in there, we'd see almost only natives and endemics. Then you come on land and it's a totally different story. So it's wild to have those two universes coexisting, you know, parallel to one another. I think it's pretty cool. And after much deliberation, we have made it to the other end of the South Shore beaches. And yeah, found a lot to explore. I definitely have a lot of questions coming away from that short little exploration. One of the things I like about Bermuda is that no matter how many times you come to explore this place, like I've probably been here hundreds of times, always see something new. Or rather, I should say, there's always the potential to see something new if you, you know, if you really slow down and look, listen, feel. Yeah, there's lots out there to explore, so hope you enjoyed it. I definitely did, and look forward to making another video for everyone.